Deep inside the cold darkness of space, a huge alien battleship moved slowly between the stars. Its metal walls were thick, and its engines made a low humming sound that never stopped. This ship belonged to the Zorath Empire, a strong and proud alien race. They had long bodies, sharp eyes, and a strict belief that they were superior to every other species in the galaxy. On this ship, their rules were absolute. Inside the prison section of the battleship, rows of small metal cells were filled with silent prisoners. These prisoners came from different planets and different species. Some were fighters, some were civilians, and some were simply unlucky travelers caught in the wrong place. They had all been captured during the recent conflict between the Zorath Empire and the United Human Coalition. Among these prisoners was Captain Marcus Hale, a human officer known for his calm nature and strong heart. Marcus sat quietly on the bench inside his cell. His hands were tied with a simple energy band, and his uniform had been taken away. He wore a plain, gray prisoner suit, but even in that simple clothing he looked determined, not broken. Marcus was tired, but his mind was sharp. He studied everything: the guards' movements, the cell numbers, the faint lights on the ceiling, and the rhythm of the footsteps outside. He understood one thing very clearly: fear was normal, but panic would only make things worse. So he controlled his breathing and stayed calm. Outside his cell, two Zorath guards argued with each other. One guard, named Torvak, was irritated. "These humans are weak," he said in a rough voice. "Why do we even keep them alive? They cause too much trouble." The second guard, Rilnor, shook his head. "Orders from the command. They want to study the human mind. They think humans have some strange ability. Personally, I do not see it." Torvak snorted. "Strange ability? They are soft creatures. You will see, this war will end soon. The Zorath Empire always wins." Marcus heard everything, but he did not react. He sat silently, giving the impression that he did not understand their language. In reality, he understood it perfectly. Humans had learned many alien languages during peaceful trade years before the conflict started. Rilnor stopped in front of Marcus's cell. He looked inside with narrowed eyes. "This one is an officer," Rilnor said. "The command wants him moved. They want him taken to a secure sector before the next interrogation." Torvak rolled his eyes. Fine. Give me the code. I will transfer him." Rilnor tapped a small control pad on his wrist and sent a glowing symbol to Torvak's device. Torvak glanced at it but did not pay close attention. He was tired and annoyed after long hours of guarding. Without reading carefully, he assumed it was the correct code. He opened Marcus's cell with a loud buzz. "Humyn," Torvak said sharply, "stand up and walk." Marcus stood slowly, showing no resistance. He knew resisting now would only make things worse. Torvak held his arm tightly and pushed him forward. Marcus kept his balance and cooperated calmly. The prison hall felt long and endless, filled with the quiet breathing of other prisoners who watched with hopeless eyes. Most of them believed Marcus was being taken to another harsh interrogation room, maybe even something worse. But none of them could imagine what was about to happen. Torvak walked with fast steps, leading Marcus through several locked doors and narrow passages. The walls changed as they moved deeper into the ship. Lights became dimmer. The temperature became colder. Strange mechanical sounds echoed in the distance. Marcus noticed everything. Finally, Torvak stopped in front of a massive metal door with glowing red lines across it. There was a large symbol written in the Zorath language. Marcus did not know its exact meaning, but the aura around the door felt dangerous. Torvak typed the code on the door panel. He looked impatient as he waited. Marcus watched the guard carefully. Torvak seemed confused for a moment. He checked his device again and hesitated. Marcus knew something didn't feel right. Rilnor's voice echoed faintly in Torvak's mind. "Take him to the secure sector." But Torvak had not read the code correctly. Suddenly, the heavy door opened with a long metallic groan. A blast of warm air rushed out, carrying a strange smell, like burning metal mixed with something alive. Torvak pushed Marcus forward. "You can go inside now," the guard said, sounding annoyed. "This is your new cell." Marcus stepped inside slowly. The door slammed shut behind him. The room was huge, much larger than any normal prison cell. The lights were dim and flickered from above. Shadows danced across the walls, creating strange shapes. The floor was rough and uneven, covered with old scorch marks. Marcus's instincts grew sharper. Something was alive here. The air was heavy, as if something powerful was breathing somewhere in the darkness. Marcus felt the vibration in his feet. It was slow and deep, like the breathing of a giant creature. He stood still, listening. A soft growl echoed from the far corner of the cell. Marcus felt his heart speed up, but he kept his mind steady. Fear was natural, but he could not afford to panic. His survival depended on staying calm and thinking clearly. Then he saw two large blue eyes open in the shadows. They glowed like fire, bright and deep. The creature moved slowly, its large body shifting in the darkness. Marcus could only see parts of it: silver scales, sharp claws, a tail that scraped across the floor. Each movement was powerful, like a storm ready to break free. It stepped forward, and the dim light revealed its full shape. It was a dragon. But not like Earth's mythical dragons. This one was alien, taller, leaner, with metallic scales that looked like living armor. Blue energy flickered between its teeth when it breathed. Its wings were folded, but they looked strong enough to break through steel. Marcus understood instantly. This was not a normal cell. This was a death cell. A cell used to hold the deadliest creature the Zorath Empire had ever captured. Marcus now realized the truth. The guard had made a mistake. The code he used did not lead to the Humyn secure sector. It led to Dragon Sector, the most dangerous part of the ship. No one was supposed to survive if they were thrown in here. The dragon stared at him, confused at first. It had seen many prisoners throughout its life, but never a human. Humans were rare here, and none had ever been thrown into this cell before. The dragon made a low sound, like a warning. Marcus slowly lifted his hands, palms open, showing he had no weapon. He did not step back or run. He knew running would trigger the creature's instincts. "Easy," Marcus whispered, more to himself than to the dragon. "I'm not here to harm you." The dragon tilted its head, as if trying to understand. Marcus kept breathing slowly. He remembered his training. When faced with a powerful creature, do not show aggression, do not run, and do not break eye contact unless necessary. The dragon stepped closer. Its body heat could be felt from several feet away. Blue sparks flickered around its mouth. Marcus did not move. The dragon lowered its head, studying him closely. It seemed curious, not hungry or angry. It could smell emotions, fear, panic, confusion. But Marcus's emotions were controlled, steady. The dragon sensed something different, something it had not felt from other prisoners. Marcus slowly spoke again. "I don't want trouble. I just want to stay alive." The dragon blinked, and something changed in its expression. Its growl softened a little. The room fell silent except for the creature's slow, deep breathing. Marcus realized one important thing. The dragon was not acting wild. It was acting intelligent. This was not just a beast. This was a thinking creature. And for the first time in a long while, it saw someone who did not fear it like others did. Marcus stood there calmly, while the dragon watched him with glowing eyes. The silence felt long, heavy, and full of meaning. Far outside the cell, Torvak walked away, unaware of the mistake he had made. He did not know he had just thrown a human into the deadliest cell on the entire ship. He did not know that this was the beginning of something unexpected. something powerful, something that would soon change everything. Inside the giant cell, the air grew warmer as the dragon stepped closer to Marcus. Its breath carried a strange smell, like hot stone and burning energy. The dim lights flickered again, revealing more of the creature's massive body. Metallic silver scales covered it from head to tail. Each scale seemed alive, reflecting blue sparks of energy that ran across its body like slow-moving lightning. Marcus stood still. His heart beat fast, but his mind stayed calm. He kept his hands open and low, showing he had nothing to fight with. Fear pulled at him, but he refused to let it control him. He knew this creature had the strength to crush him without effort, but he also sensed something else, something deeper behind those glowing blue eyes. The dragon's eyes did not look wild. They looked aware. The creature lowered its head, bringing its snout close to Marcus's chest. Marcus felt warm air brush over him. The dragon was smelling him, studying him. Its deep, slow breathing felt like a giant machine was working inside its body. The creature made a low humming sound, not a roar, not a warning. Something softer, curious, confused. Marcus spoke slowly, his voice steady even though the situation was dangerous. "It's okay," he whispered. "I'm not your enemy." The dragon tilted its head slightly. Its long, pointed ears twitched at the sound of his voice. A soft ripple moved along its scales, as if it was trying to understand what the human was trying to say. For a long moment, neither moved. The huge creature simply stared at the small human standing fearlessly in front of it. Then, unexpectedly, the dragon stepped back a little. Marcus released a slow breath. That small step felt like a mountain moving. The creature circled him once, its tail scraping the floor, sending sparks into the air. Each movement was powerful, but controlled. If it wanted to attack, it would have done so already. Instead, it seemed to be studying him, trying to decide what kind of being he was. As the dragon moved, Marcus took in more details. He noticed thin metal bands around the creature's legs, restraining devices. They looked old, scratched, maybe even painful. The creature had been held prisoner for a long time. Marcus understood something important then. This dragon was not here by choice. It was trapped, just like him. The creature finally stopped in front of him again. It lowered its head slowly, very slowly, until its deep eyes were level with Marcus's. The two stared at each other in strange, silent communication. Marcus sensed intelligence behind those eyes, not simple animal instinct, but real thought, real awareness. "Can you understand me?" Marcus asked quietly. The dragon blinked. Then it made a soft sound, not a roar, not a growl, something like a deep note of music that vibrated through the air. Marcus felt the sound in his chest. It was warm, almost peaceful. He took this as a sign. "You're not my enemy," Marcus said gently, "and I'm not yours." The dragon raised its head and let out another soft sound. Slightly louder this time. Marcus noticed something. Its posture was not aggressive. Its wings stayed folded. Its claws remained on the ground. Its tail did not swing in a threatening way. Instead, the creature looked calm. For a moment, Marcus forgot he was a prisoner. He forgot he was standing face to face with one of the deadliest beings in the galaxy. He only saw another living creature that had been misunderstood, mistreated and feared for too long. As the silence grew, a shaking rumble echoed through the walls. A voice came through distant speakers outside the cell. It was a Zorath officer giving orders somewhere in the ship. The dragon's ears twitched. It lifted its head and growled quietly, showing clear dislike. Marcus understood that sound. The creature hated the Zorath guards. It feared them, maybe, but it also disliked them. The guards had trapped it, hurt it, and used it as some kind of threat for many years. Marcus slowly stepped back, giving the creature space. He did not want to appear pushy or aggressive. Every small movement had to be careful. The dragon's eyes followed him closely. Marcus sat down on the floor, keeping himself at a safe distance. He rested his back against the metal wall, breathing softly. The dragon watched this too, its head slowly tilting again. The creature then did something Marcus did not expect. It lay down, not far away, just a few meters in front of him. It lowered its huge body to the ground, folded its legs under itself, and relaxed its wings. This was a sign of trust. Marcus remained calm, but inside he felt a deep sense of relief. He had managed to avoid provoking the creature. He had earned at least a small amount of trust. Time passed slowly inside the giant cell. Marcus observed the dragon carefully. The creature seemed restless when the lights flickered. It did not like the sudden changes in brightness. Every time the lights dimmed, the dragon raised its head, alert. Marcus began talking softly again. "My name is Marcus," he said. "I don't know your name, or if you even have one." The dragon responded with a soft sound, almost like a deep whisper. Marcus repeated the sound as best he could, trying to mimic its tone. The dragon blinked and made the sound again, slightly different this time, longer and clearer. Marcus tried again, adjusting the sound. His voice was much weaker than the dragon's powerful resonance, but he tried his best. The dragon made a slow, approving growl. Marcus smiled. "Is that your name?" he asked softly. "Rathorn?" The dragon repeated the same sound, a deep, rolling tone that matched the pattern Marcus had heard. Marcus nodded. "Rathorn," he said again. "I'll call you that then." The creature lowered its head slightly, a gesture that almost looked like agreement. For a moment, the cell felt less like a cage and more like a strange meeting place between two beings who should have been enemies, but were not. A loud metallic clang echoed from outside the cell. The dragon's head shot up. It stood quickly, muscles tightening. Blue sparks flickered along its body. Marcus stood too, but kept his hands visible. The dragon moved closer to him, not aggressively, but protectively, as if it sensed danger and did not want Marcus harmed. This surprised Marcus deeply. Why would such a powerful creature care about him? But then he understood. Marcus had shown it something it rarely saw: kindness, calmness, respect, no fear, no cruelty, no shouting, no weapons. To a creature that had lived its whole life in chains, that meant something. Outside the cell, footsteps echoed in the corridor. Marcus could hear two Zorath guards talking. "Check the monster later," one said. "We need to prepare the prisoner list." "We should check now," the second guard argued. "Dragon Sector is too dangerous. What if something happened?" "We checked it yesterday. Nothing ever changes." Their voices faded as they walked away. Inside the cell, the dragon growled quietly, its eyes glowing brighter. Marcus placed a hand gently on the air, showing a calming gesture. "It's okay," he whispered. "They're gone." The dragon slowly relaxed again. Marcus sat down once more, and this time, after a short moment of hesitation, the dragon lowered its body closer, much closer. It rested its head on the ground near Marcus, its huge blue eyes watching him. Marcus stayed calm, letting the creature get comfortable. Hours passed like this, slow, tense, yet peaceful in a strange way. Marcus talked softly from time to time, explaining small things about humans, about Earth, about hope and patience. The dragon listened, its eyes showing interest, maybe even understanding. Marcus learned something important during these hours. The dragon reacted strongly to emotions. When he spoke calmly, the dragon was calm. When he felt fear inside, the dragon's tail twitched, or its breath grew warmer. They were beginning to understand each other, not through words, but through feeling. As the long hours continued, the bond slowly formed. Human and dragon, two prisoners, two beings misunderstood by the Zorath Empire. Two minds growing closer in the quiet darkness of Dragon Sector. And deep inside the ship, in the control room, Rilnor frowned. He looked at the prison logs. Torvak had entered the wrong code. He had sent the Humyn into Dragon Sector. Rilnor's eyes widened. "No," he whispered. "That cell... No one survives that cell." He raced toward the prison section, but inside the deadly cell, Marcus sat calmly beside the dragon named Rathorn. The Zorath Empire had expected a Humyn to be destroyed. They did not know they had just created an alliance that would change everything. The hours in the giant cell turned into days. Marcus and Rathorn, the dragon, slowly grew used to each other's presence. The dim light of Dragon Sector never fully brightened, but Marcus learned to see the faint glimmers on the walls, the shadows that danced across the metal floor, and the flicker of blue sparks along Rathorn's scales. Marcus had started calling the dragon Rathorn, and in some strange way, the name fit. The creature responded to it, occasionally emitting a deep, rolling hum that Marcus now recognized as a kind of acknowledgement. The cell was still dangerous. The Zorath Empire had trapped Rathorn here to contain its power, and the room itself was designed to suppress life. Energy barriers ran along the walls, and any sudden movement could trigger alarms or activate defenses. Marcus quickly learned how to read the subtle signals, the hum of machinery, the vibrations through the floor, the flicker of light when a door opened. During one long period of silence, Marcus decided it was time to understand Rathorn better. "You've been here a long time," he said softly, speaking as much to himself as to the dragon. "How did they trap you?" Rathorn tilted its head and let out a low rumble. It stepped closer to Marcus, and its warm breath brushed his face. Marcus didn't flinch. Instead, he knelt slightly, keeping his hands visible. As he studied the creature, Marcus noticed the deep scratches along its scales. Some were old, some recent. He realized that the Zorath guards had not been gentle. Rathorn's wings bore small burns from electrical restraints. Its tail had dents where it had been forced to strike walls or metal chains. "You've suffered," Marcus whispered. "They never understood you." The dragon made a soft, melodic hum, almost like a sigh. It lowered its head and moved its massive paw closer to Marcus. The gesture was careful, gentle, and deliberate. Marcus reached out slowly and placed his hand on the rough surface of the scales. The touch was electric. Not literally, but it felt alive, as if energy flowed through Rathorn's body. Marcus felt a deep connection forming. Two beings trapped in the same hopeless place, beginning to understand each other without words. Over the next several days, Marcus and Rathorn began to communicate in their own way. Marcus would gesture with his hands, pointing to objects, moving slowly to show direction and using voice tones carefully. Rathorn responded with body movements, small huffs of air, and deep hums. It became clear to Marcus that Rathorn was not just a creature of instinct. It could think, plan, and even reason. The dragon had a long memory and a strong sense of self-preservation. More importantly, it could sense the human's intentions, distinguishing calm resolve from fear or aggression. One day, Marcus decided to take a risk. He wanted to see if the dragon could cooperate with him. "Rathorn," he said quietly, "we need to get out of here. Together." The dragon's glowing eyes studied him carefully. It made a slow, low sound, a rumble that Marcus had learned to interpret as thought. It stepped closer, curling its tail around a part of the floor without making contact with Marcus. Marcus knew this was a moment of trust. The dragon had decided to listen. "Good," he whispered. "I have an idea. But we must be smart. The guards, they think I'll die. They think you'll kill me. They don't know we can work together." Rathorn rumbled again, shifting its massive body in what seemed like agreement. The two prisoners, so different from each other, had become a team. One had strength, speed, and energy unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. The other had intelligence, patience, and courage that no weapon could replace. For Marcus, the next step was planning. He spent hours observing the cell, noticing the energy fields, the timing of guard patrols, and the layout of the ship's corridors. He used small gestures and soft words to communicate with Raythorn. The dragon seemed to understand basic strategy. It moved to positions Marcus indicated, blocked areas where alarms might be triggered, and practiced quiet movement with surprising care for its size. The alien dragon was learning to cooperate. Marcus, in turn, learned how to calm it when it became restless. When the Zorath alarms occasionally rang far away, Raythorn would tense and hiss. Marcus would touch the dragon's snout gently, speak softly, and the creature would relax again. The alliance formed not only through planning, but through mutual respect. Marcus respected Raythorn's strength and intelligence. The dragon respected Marcus's courage, patience, and calm in the face of danger. Neither underestimated the other. One night, Marcus finally spoke about something personal. "I know why the aliens fear you," he said softly. "But they don't see the truth. You're not just a weapon. You're you. You feel, you think, you survive, just like humans." Raythorn tilted its head and made a soft, vibrating sound. Marcus interpreted it as a kind of understanding. He reached out, brushing a hand along the side of the dragon's neck. "You and I," he said, "we're both prisoners, but we're not weak. We're underestimated. They think fear controls us, but it doesn't. Not if we choose to control ourselves." Raythorn shifted closer, resting its massive head near Marcus's side. Its body warmth was comforting. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment and allowed himself to feel hope. For the first time since his capture, he felt that escape might be possible, not because of brute strength, but because of teamwork. The following days became a quiet routine. Marcus and Raythorn trained together, not in fighting the guards directly, that would be suicide, but in learning each other's movements, predicting reactions, and building silent communication. Marcus learned to read the subtle vibrations Raythorn emitted. The dragon learned to interpret Marcus's gestures. In this strange environment, the two became more than allies. They became a unit. The human's creativity and the dragon's raw power combined into something neither the Zorath guards nor the Empire could predict. One afternoon, Marcus tested the dragon's obedience in a new way. He walked to the center of the cell and pointed to a far wall. Raythorn's head followed his hand. Marcus clapped softly, and the dragon moved exactly as he intended. "That's it," Marcus whispered. "We can do this. We can escape." Raythorn made a low rumble that Marcus took as agreement. Then the first real threat arrived. The Zorath had detected that a prisoner had been thrown into Dragon Sector, and they were curious to see the result. Two guards approached the cell, speaking in loud, commanding voices. Marcus held his hand up. "Wait," he whispered to Raythorn. The dragon tensed but remained still. The guards' voices grew sharper. "Check the cell. The human should be dead." Marcus leaned slightly to the side, placing himself partially behind Raythorn. The dragon stepped forward subtly, its body blocking Marcus completely, its glowing blue eyes fixed on the approaching guards. The guards hesitated. They had faced Raythorn before. Even now, the dragon's presence filled the room with an almost tangible fear. Its power radiated outward. It did not move aggressively, but it did not need to. Its size, its energy, its awareness, all were enough to make the aliens pause. Marcus spoke quietly, almost to himself. "We don't attack yet, just control." Raythorn emitted a low, rolling growl. The guards froze in place. The dragon's tail swished slowly, brushing the ground and creating small sparks. Marcus adjusted his stance, ready to move if necessary, but careful not to provoke an attack. After a tense moment, the guards retreated. They muttered to each other, clearly shaken. Marcus exhaled slowly. Raythorn lowered its head again, relaxing. This, Marcus said softly, is why we can do it. Together. The cell fell quiet again. The bond between human and dragon had grown stronger. They understood each other without words. They trusted each other completely. Marcus began to imagine the escape in his mind. It was not simple, but it was possible. With careful planning, timing, and trust, they could leave Dragon Sector. They could reach the outer hangar, and then the galaxy might finally see what humans and dragons could accomplish together. He knew one thing for sure. The Zorath Empire had underestimated both of them, and that would be their advantage. As the lights flickered again and the metal walls hummed with energy, Marcus looked at Rathorn and whispered, "We'll get out of here. I promise. Together." The dragon responded with a soft, vibrating hum, like a deep breath of agreement. And for the first time since his capture, Marcus felt a spark of hope that was brighter than fear. In the heart of the deadliest cell in the galaxy, an alliance had formed, human courage and dragon power. Two beings, underestimated by everyone, preparing for a future no one expected. The Zorath Empire would soon learn a lesson. Strength is not always measured by size or weapons. Sometimes it is measured by trust, intelligence, and courage. And Marcus and Rathorn were ready to prove it. The dim lights of Dragon Sector flickered as Marcus and Rathorn prepared quietly. Days of planning and observation had brought them to this moment. The Zorath guards had underestimated both of them, thinking the human would die quickly in the deadliest cell. But Marcus and Rathorn had grown stronger together. They had learned each other's movements, signals, and instincts. Now it was time to act. Marcus crouched beside the dragon, studying the massive energy barriers that ran across the room. The barriers pulsed with a quiet hum, capable of sending lethal energy through any creature that touched them. He had memorized the timing of their pulses. He pointed to a spot near the far wall and whispered, "We move there first." "Wait for the pause." Rathorn's glowing eyes followed his hand. The dragon understood perfectly. Its massive wings twitched slightly as if ready to spring into action. Marcus touched the dragon's scaled snout lightly, a silent signal. Patience and timing were everything. A distant alarm echoed faintly through the halls. The Zorath had started their routine check of Dragon Sector. Marcus knew it would be their only chance to escape unnoticed. The first movement was subtle. Marcus stood slowly, keeping his hands open and his movements calm. Rathorn lowered its head and began to shift its weight, preparing to move with the human. Marcus could feel the dragon's energy humming in sync with his own heartbeat. At the precise moment when the barrier pulses paused, Marcus made his move. He darted forward, low to the ground, avoiding the narrow streams of energy. Rathorn followed, moving with silent precision despite its massive size. Sparks flew off the floor as the dragon's claws barely missed the energy fields. Marcus held his breath, careful not to make a sound. They reached the far wall. Marcus tapped the wall where he had memorized a weak panel. With a gentle push, the metal shifted, revealing a hidden maintenance passage. The space was tight, barely wide enough for Rathorn to squeeze through, but the dragon moved slowly, curling its wings and shifting its massive body with care. Marcus followed, staying close to its side. As they entered the narrow passage, the walls hummed with energy, and the sound of distant alarms grew louder. Marcus's mind raced, but he kept calm. Every step, every breath had to be measured. Rathorn's massive body blocked the human from view, and its power seemed to create a small shield against the sensors. The passage led to a series of twisting corridors. Marcus led the way, using hand gestures to signal the dragon when to stop, when to move, and when to wait. The dragon followed without hesitation. Hours, or maybe minutes, passed in tense silence. The ship's metallic halls echoed with distant footsteps, the hum of machinery, and occasional Zorath voices. Marcus could sense the guards growing closer. One wrong sound, one wrong move, and the alarms would scream across the ship. Finally, they reached the first locked security door leading out of Dragon Sector. Marcus studied the panel carefully. Using tools he had smuggled in small parts from the cell over days, he worked quickly but silently to bypass the lock. Blue sparks flickered in the distance as Rathorn lowered its massive head, protecting Marcus from view. The door clicked open. Marcus exhaled silently, a small smile crossing his face. He motioned for the dragon to follow. Rathorn squeezed through the opening, its large body scraping the metal walls. Marcus moved beside it, careful not to get caught in the narrow space. They entered a wider corridor. Marcus could see the dim lights of the main deck in the distance. They were closer now. He gestured to Rathorn to stay low. The dragon complied, crouching slightly as if shrinking itself. Suddenly, a pair of Zorath guards appeared at the end of the corridor. They had not expected anyone to survive Dragon Sector. Marcus froze, his mind racing. Rathorn stepped forward, blocking Marcus completely from view. Its massive head and glowing eyes intimidated the guards. The dragon let out a deep, rolling growl that shook the metal walls. The guards hesitated, their confidence faltering. They had seen Rathorn's power before. They knew even a small movement could mean death. Marcus whispered to the dragon, "Now, just scare them. Don't attack yet." The dragon emitted a controlled burst of blue energy from its mouth. It was not a full attack, just a flash of heat and light that sent the guards staggering back. Marcus seized the moment. He sprinted past the dragon, using its body as a shield. Rathorn followed, moving with surprising speed despite its size. The guards recovered quickly, shouting alarms. But Marcus and Rathorn had already moved further down the corridor. They turned a corner and entered the ship's hangar area. Marcus looked around. Several small ships were docked here. They were unarmed scouts, not enough for a full fleet escape, but enough for 2 passengers. He pointed to one of the ships, a sleek, human-designed craft that the Zorath had captured during previous battles. Rathorn seemed to understand. The dragon's massive wings twitched, ready for flight. Marcus ran toward the ship, signaling Rathorn to follow closely. As they approached, more Zorath guards appeared, blocking their path. Marcus realized they were outnumbered. He looked at Rathorn. The dragon's glowing blue eyes met his. They didn't need words. They both knew what had to happen. Rathorn stepped forward. Its massive claws dug into the metal floor. Its wings unfolded partially, creating a barrier of immense power. Marcus moved behind the dragon, guiding it toward the ship. The guards raised weapons, but Rathorn was faster. It unleashed a controlled blast of energy, not directly harming Marcus or the ship, but enough to knock the guards off balance. Sparks flew, alarms rang, and the hangar shook. The humans in Marcus's mind would have called it brilliant teamwork. Marcus ran toward the ship's cockpit, unlocking the controls as quickly as he could. Rathorn positioned itself beside the ship, ready to protect it from any attack. The Zorath guards recovered and tried to rush the ship, but the dragon's presence was overwhelming. Its roar filled the hangar, echoing like thunder. Guards hesitated, their fear visible even in their disciplined faces. Marcus climbed into the pilot seat, his hands shaking slightly but his mind focused. He activated the engines. The ship hummed to life. Lights blinked and the controls responded. He looked back at Rathorn. "Ready?" he asked. The dragon emitted a low hum. It crouched slightly, wings ready to push off. Marcus pushed the throttle. The ship lifted off the hangar deck, narrowly avoiding the scrambling guards. Rathorn leapt beside the ship, using its massive wings to fly alongside. Sparks flew from the hangar doors as the ship passed through the exit. Marcus guided it into space, heart pounding, knowing the Zorath would give chase. But Rathorn was not just a protector, it was a force of nature. The dragon soared beside the ship, using its energy blasts to create barriers and distractions. Marcus could barely keep up with the speed and precision of their combined actions. The hangar faded behind them, and the open stars stretched ahead. Marcus looked at the dragon beside him. "We did it," he whispered. "We actually did it." Hrathorn rumbled deeply, a sound Marcus took as agreement. The two of them were free, for now, but the galaxy was vast, and the Zorath Empire would not let them escape easily. Marcus knew this was only the beginning. As they moved further into space, Marcus plotted their next moves. They needed a safe planet to hide, repairs for the ship, and a plan to use Hrathorn's strength wisely. They were unlikely allies in a galaxy that had always underestimated humans and dragons. But Marcus felt confident. With courage, intelligence, and trust, they had escaped the deadliest cell in the universe, and together they could face anything. Hrathorn flapped its massive wings, creating a wind that shimmered with blue energy. Marcus leaned back in the pilot's seat, smiling faintly. For the first time since his capture, he felt hope. And not just hope, he felt power. Human ingenuity and dragon might combined. Two beings, underestimated by all, now free to write their own destiny. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and Marcus knew that their journey had only just begun. The stolen ship glided through the black expanse of space, stars stretching endlessly ahead. Marcus sat in the cockpit, hands steady on the controls, eyes sharp and alert. Beside the ship, Hrathorn soared, its massive wings cutting through the void with incredible speed. Sparks of blue energy flickered along its metallic scales, lighting the dark void like a living storm. Marcus had never felt so alive. For the first time since his capture, he was free, not only from the cell, but from fear. And he knew they weren't just running from the Zorath Empire. They were racing toward something greater: freedom, survival, and the chance to prove the power of courage and trust. The alarms of the Zorath battleship echoed faintly through space, far behind them. Marcus had watched the sensors carefully. The Empire had noticed the escape immediately. Fighter ships were on the way, fast and deadly, but Marcus had a plan. Hrathorn would protect them, and he would guide the ship with every ounce of skill he had. "Hrathorn," Marcus whispered, "we're going to need speed. Can you keep up?" The dragon let out a deep rumble, thrumming through the ship's hull. Its glowing eyes met Marcus's. Marcus smiled faintly. "Good. Let's go then." The first attack came quickly. A small squadron of Zorath fighters approached from the left flank. Their sleek metallic bodies glinted in the starlight, weapons charged, ready to fire. Marcus's pulse quickened, but he stayed calm. He had faced danger before. This was no different, only larger, only faster. "Hrathorn," he said quietly, "get in front. Block them." The dragon swooped ahead of the ship, massive wings creating gusts of wind that sent the enemy fighters tumbling. Blue energy sparks shot from its mouth, careful bursts that disabled engines without unnecessary destruction. The Zorath pilots were skilled, but they had never faced anything like this, a human and a dragon working as one. Marcus took control of the ship, weaving through space debris and using the dragon's movements to cover blind spots. Each time a fighter tried to approach, Hrathorn blocked it, forcing the enemy to retreat or crash. Marcus felt exhilaration course through him. "We can do this," he whispered, "together." Hours seemed to pass in minutes. Marcus guided the ship, dodging lasers while Hrathorn protected them from above and behind. Each movement was calculated, precise, and synchronized. The dragon had learned Marcus's gestures perfectly, responding instantly to shifts in his body and voice. Finally, they reached an asteroid belt, a perfect place to hide temporarily. Marcus guided the ship into a narrow passage between enormous rocks. Hrathorn followed, folding its wings to slip through tight spaces, sparks flying off rocks as scales scraped the stone lightly. They paused in the shadows of the massive asteroids. Marcus could see the Zorath fighters slowing behind them. The Empire had underestimated them, but the humans and the dragon had proven unpredictable. Marcus looked at Rathorn, feeling respect and admiration for the creature beside him. "You did amazing," he said softly. The dragon's deep rumble felt like a response of understanding and pride. But Marcus knew the danger was not over. The Zorath Empire would not give up. Their battleship was still out there, capable of sending hundreds of ships to track them. Marcus needed a plan, something to show the galaxy that humans were more than underestimated creatures. They were strategic, courageous, and capable of greatness. He turned to Rathorn. "We need to strike next, not just survive. We need to show them what we are capable of." The dragon tilted its massive head, as if listening carefully. Marcus pointed toward the battleship in the distance. "We'll hit their communication systems first. Disable their tracking. Then we'll escape, but not without making a statement." The dragon rumbled again, wings unfolding. Marcus felt a surge of hope. Together they were not just surviving, they were fighting back. The human piloted the ship closer to the battleship, careful to stay in the asteroid cover as much as possible. Rathorn glided above, ready to strike. Marcus monitored the ship's systems, preparing the precise moment to act. "Now," he whispered. Rathorn soared forward, its body radiating energy. Blue sparks erupted from its mouth, striking the battleship's communications array. The lights on the enemy ship flickered and dimmed. Systems failed one by one, alarms blaring in confusion. Zorath officers shouted orders, but Marcus could see the panic in their movements. "Excellent," he said softly. "Keep going." The dragon unleashed controlled blasts, disabling weapons and shields. Marcus maneuvered the ship closer, weaving through space debris while Rathorn protected the flanks. The battleship struggled to respond. It had never faced a human capable of strategy combined with the raw power of a dragon. As the ship's systems faltered, Marcus knew the critical moment had arrived. He signaled Rathorn to create a barrier around the ship while he transmitted a message to the galaxy. Using the battleship's compromised communication systems, Marcus sent a broadcast. "To all who doubt, humans are not weak. We survive, we adapt, and we will fight when threatened. Underestimate us at your own risk." The message echoed across the galaxy, reaching planets, trade routes, and even enemy fleets. The signal carried a simple, undeniable truth. Human courage, intelligence, and determination were real, and unstoppable when combined with loyalty and trust. The Zorath Empire officers were furious. They realized too late that their prisoners had escaped and struck a blow that showed their weakness. Rathorn hovered above the chaos, powerful and unstoppable, while Marcus guided their ship to safety. Finally, they reached a safe zone near an uncharted planet, hidden behind asteroid clusters and energy fields. Marcus guided the ship to land gently, while Rathorn touched down beside it. The dragon's massive wings folded, and it lowered its head, resting for the first time in days. Marcus stepped out of the ship, feeling the warmth of the planet beneath his feet. Rathorn lowered its massive head beside him, their bond stronger than ever. They had survived the deadliest cell in the galaxy, escaped an Empire's fleet, and proven the strength of humans and dragons together. "Look at that," Marcus whispered, gazing at the stars. "We did it, together." The dragon rumbled, a sound Marcus now recognized as joy, pride, and understanding. Marcus knew their journey was far from over. The Zorath Empire would recover and hunt them again. But for now, they were free. Free to think, to plan, and to prepare for whatever challenges awaited. In that quiet moment, Marcus realized something profound. Humans had always been underestimated. Others saw them as weak, fragile, and incapable of great feats. But humans had one advantage no empire could destroy: the courage to face the impossible, the intelligence to adapt, and the will to survive against all odds. Hrathorn had learned it too. The dragon had seen humans not as prey, not as weak creatures, but as allies capable of great deeds. Together they had turned fear into strength, captivity into strategy, and doubt into victory. As the stars glittered above, Marcus and Hrathorn looked at each other, silently acknowledging their shared triumph. The galaxy might not understand yet, but it would. Humans were no longer the underestimated species. They were a force of courage, intelligence, and unwavering will. Marcus placed a hand gently on Hrathorn's scaled neck. "We'll keep going," he said softly. "The galaxy will remember this. They'll remember what humans can do when they refuse to be broken." The dragon rumbled in agreement, its glowing eyes reflecting the distant stars. Together, human and dragon prepared for the next chapter of their journey. One thing was certain: the universe would never look at humans or dragons the same way again. And somewhere, far in the black expanse of space, the Zorath Empire would learn a lesson they would not forget. Underestimating humans was the greatest mistake they had ever made. Marcus smiled faintly. For the first time in a long time, he felt completely alive, free, powerful, and ready for whatever came next. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and the human and the dragon flew toward them, a team unstoppable, a bond unbroken, and a story the galaxy would never forget.